Welcome to Season 5 of the VanRocha podcast, hosted by Gene Van Horn, a Gen X thinker with over 30 years of marketing and sales experience. Each episode, he sits down with innovative professionals who have that special spark, people who inspire us all to do more and be more. Today's guest, Eduardo Roman, is a successful bilingual voiceover artist, on-screen actor, and now series pilot creator.
I want to tell this story. I think it's very interesting. Like I said, it's a figure in our industry that nobody talks about. They are the gatekeepers. You know, they can make or break an actor.
In the age of AI, in a ruthless industry, how has Eduardo been able to stay kind and profitable while continuing to reinvent himself? As an actor who has been and continues to be successful in 2 countries, 2 languages, and 2 cultures, he has a lot to teach us. Enjoy episode 4 of season 5 of the VanRocha podcast.
Your work is great. That's why I'm supportive of it. Even my 18-year-old, I said, I'm talking to Eduardo this weekend. She said, tell me more. And I told her about Will Trent. She goes, oh, I love that show. So it's like you've been saying, it's taken off, right? The 4th season.
It's great to have a Latino lead such as Ramon Rodriguez, who plays Will Trent, having a primetime show that gets renewed every season. So it's good that's happening, you know. For us as Latinos, it's very important, especially nowadays. It's great to have that show, and they keep renewing it. And I started in season 3. And when they renewed for season 4 and they told me, hey, you might be coming back, I was like, crossing fingers. The writers write me in, you know, more Eduardo. So yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm very happy with it. Mm-hmm.
I just looked at your post today that I'm going to reshare it. You just posted not too long ago about how Eduardo took a different turn in a recent episode. Can you tell us about that? Because I liked your enthusiasm about that.
For people that don't know, he's Will Trent's voice app. And initially in season 3, he came in as a support because he has a very severe case of dyslexia. He has me reading a menu at a Mexican restaurant in season 3. That was Eduardo's initial reason of being in the show. Then it transitioned to like giving him information about cases, an aid of information like any AI. And now in this season, I don't want to spoil it too much, but Eduardo became kind of his conscience.
Right. That's what I was watching the clip. Thank you for illuminating me a little bit, because it was funny the way the interchange was going, but it's in his head. You're in his conscience now.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I don't see how they can take you away from the show.
I hope they never do. I have a friend who's like, hey, he went completely with a huge theory or thesis or a hypothesis. They should turn Eduardo like Vision from Avengers, who used to be a voice, into a real life character. I'm like, dude, I wish you were a producer, because then I would be on camera if that happens.
Well, we're going to do a write-in campaign. I like that idea. That sounds
I love that idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Meeting Eduardo in real life, right?
Just expanding this for some people who are listening for the first time and hearing about Will Trent for the first time, even though it's internationally known, this show.
Yes.
It's a timely subject. Don't you think, these AI assistants?
Very, very, very timely. And you know what's great about the production? That instead of using an actual AI, they're using a human. They're using me. They could have gone the route of, let's do this with real AI, with a real AI voice. And no, they chose to hire a person. And that's great. But yeah, it is scary. It is very, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I'm excited about AI and scared at the same time because, you know, like any tool, it depends in which hands it lands.
Very good summary of that subject, Eduardo. That's really amazing. I told the Picard group, I'm talking to Eduardo. I want to let him know about, you guys, because you're part of that group that we have on Facebook. Yes. With 21,000 members. They all love you and think you're amazing. What stood out, you said you identify with Spock when you watch the Star Trek movies as a younger person. What did you mean by that?
When I was a kid, I was very much more of an observer, more than the kid who would talk and say and give his opinion. I was more like just standing and listening to what people would say and try to understand where they came from, whether I agreed or not with whatever that the other kid was saying. Spock seems to have like a super high IQ, and I'm not. I don't have the amount of intelligence, but I'm very much an observer of things, which I guess that's why I'm an actor, because I like watching people and listening to them. And then somehow that helped me build my, let's call it my bag of tricks. I've seen somebody say this in this way, and I've seen somebody react in this way, so I'm going to use that. So as an actor, you have to be an observer. When I said that, I meant that I, instead of being like the leader, I'm going to stand back and watch and see and evaluate things from afar.
Interesting. That makes total sense. And, I knew you were the Vulcan, one of the first Vulcans you played in that episode that had supposedly come to Earth, and then you erased the boy's mind, but you stood out. I froze when I saw that episode. It was, you inhabited that moment, Eduardo. It was really, really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I try my best to interpret, to portray all that knowledge of those beings, Their emotions are, I don't want to say suppressed. I want to say more in control of their emotions, not suppressed, but in control. So that makes them more, I don't know, fair, knowledgeable, and observant. So they're very interesting characters, the Vulcans.
That's great. Our group would love to hear your analysis on that. I had interviewed Tara Rosling, as I mentioned you. She played a Vulcan too, and she talked similar to you, that she viewed it as kind of like a Buddhist type of mindset,
Absolutely.
I'm going to shift gears on you because you went to law school.
I could be working as a lawyer in Mexico because I finished the whole thing. But then in law school, I discovered theater and I started doing plays. And then I fell in love with it. I fell in love with acting, with theater initially. I'm still in love with theater. And so I finished law school and I told my parents, I no longer want to be a musician. I want to be an actor. So they're like, okay, we're going to support you for 1 year. We're going to help you try out that dream of being an actor. So I moved to Mexico City to study acting properly. I stayed there for 3 years. By the second year, I was already doing acting gigs. I was already doing commercials, some TV, some film. So I stayed 3 years in Mexico City studying the craft of acting and working. And after that, I'm like, I'm going to move to the States, I think that's where I want to be. I want to be in LA. I had family here in LA. So we would visit since I was a kid, we would visit Los Angeles. So I kind of knew Los Angeles already. But moving to LA was the ultimate goal at the end of the day, which didn't happen right away. I got married in Mexico with my current wife, and hopefully the only one. We moved to San Francisco first. And the reason was because we had no money. So we moved to San Francisco because my wife had an aunt who was going to let us sleep in the living room. After 2 months, we found our own place and we started saving to finally be able to move to LA. It was supposed to be only 1 year in San Francisco, but we stayed 2 years because I hadn't properly acted in English. I had mostly done acting in Spanish. So what I did when we moved to San Francisco is I went to acting school all over again. I took this intermediate course at American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, which is a school where Nicolas Cage went to and Winona Ryder, like several name actors went to that school. I'm like, I'm going to go there.
I was just mesmerized. It's just really interesting, Eduardo. I mean, your process, it's like a combination of your mom and dad. The adventure part and then the formality part has created, I'm not saying your mother's not formal, but you said she's an art lover. So she's a freer spirit, but your dad's like methodicalness.
Yes. business guy, you know. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, that's incredible. And I like you and your wife's teamwork. Sounds like you really
yes.
had really good teamwork there. So now you get to LA.
Hmm.
I want to hear from there. Let's hear that. That's pretty cool.
Well, the great thing about being in San Francisco those 2 years, I started doing some acting gigs, mostly voiceover commercials. We moved to Los Angeles. We came here. I had already connections. I met a producer in San Francisco that like, you got to talk to this agent. He's a friend of mine. And you got to talk to this casting director, an on-camera casting director. She's a friend of mine. So I actually moved to LA with some connections, let's call them. If I would have come from Mexico straight to LA, it would have been like in zeros, you know, nothing, both in the bank account and in the Rolodex.
I think you need a stand-up career too. You're pretty your timing is right.
So in San Francisco, I was able to save up money and make industry connections. So when we moved here, we had something to do and somewhere to go. It was a voiceover agent. That was my first agent in Los Angeles. That's been my agent. It transitioned. They became another agency, but it's basically my same voiceover agent up until now, you know. And I owe a lot to that agency, to those two agencies. It transitioned from one agency to another one in a very Jerry Maguire kind of way. I followed my agent from one agency to the next one, you know.
Right.
Like,
right.
What's his name? Cuba Gooding Jr., same thing. I follow my agent. Loyalty, he was my agent on the first agency. And of course, that was my voiceover agent, but I also was able to get an on-camera agent for commercials and an on-camera agent for theatrical, which is film and TV.
You're kind of becoming the voice to the Latino community for major brands. You are in Domino's, Amazon.
Right now, Lowe's is my biggest account.
Yes.
Yes, a very important work relationship with them because I'm their voice announcer for their commercials and their streaming spots, TV, radio, and streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I am their voice in Spanish. You know, I'm the voice of Lowe's in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are great spots too. It's like with you voiceover people too, it's like you're sounding like the everyday guy now, great voice. You guys seem to switch on something when you go on the, what happens like where this awesome performer comes? What do you do in your brain to do that? It's pretty interesting.
Beginners who want to start out in voiceover. And the first thing I tell them is go get some acting lessons before you attempt voiceover. Not every voiceover actor that you hear is an actor first, but most of them are. So I tell people, go take acting lessons before you start training for voiceover, because you have to have this ability to change. You have to have this range. If you're an actor, you have all this, how do you say, spectrum of voices that you can bring to the table, especially during the audition. And they're like, okay, you can give us 2 or 3 takes. So I give them my usual first take, which is my standard voice that I do. But then in take 2, I might offer them a different approach, you know, maybe a deeper voice, maybe slower, maybe quicker, maybe higher tone. When you're able to give that variety, your chances of getting the job are better, you know?
Right. That's a great principle. I mean, like listening to you, I can hear the wonderful variety that you have, and it really matches what the brand is trying to do. I'm hearing from you like wise counsel that could apply to a wide variety of things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's such a good thing to hear, especially from a Latino professional. I love this counsel that you're giving. You've acquired a lot of things.
By osmosis, by accident, because something happened during the pandemic, which was in 2020 when the pandemic happened and everything shut down. Of course, I had already been doing voiceover. And a lot of my friends who were exclusively on-camera actors, they never touched the voiceover section or ramification of acting. They were only doing on-camera because they're great actors, yeah, and they made a living out of it. But when everything shut down and there were no productions, on-camera productions, voiceover was still going on because I was able to record from home. Voiceover, there's no contact. I don't have to go to the studio anymore. I don't have to interact with a lot of people. So back in COVID times, we kept working. A lot of my on-camera friends started asking me about voiceover. Can you teach me? Can you show me? Can you guide me? They would ask me what microphone should I get, what equipment, what software. And then they started asking me for lessons, like not lessons, but like coaching. So I became a coach because of the pandemic. And my friends started asking me, and then not only my friends, but word of mouth, people that I didn't know, other actors started reaching out to me if I could coach them for voiceover. So I became a coach without looking for it, you know?
Interesting. So, that I know I interface a lot with the business community on LinkedIn, Eduardo, and your lessons here, I think, really are good for us to think about as business people. You're a business person too, developing these skill sets and doing it in a deliberate way, makes you valuable.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I'm not very computer savvy, but I had to learn how to use the recording software, how to connect cables, where this cable goes to the microphone, to the interface, to the preamp, all that stuff. And like anything, I just ask my friends. I have a lot of engineers that I met throughout the years. They're sound engineers. I learned by asking them, hey, what are you doing? What is that button you're pressing? What is that for? I'm not an engineer per se, but I know the basics to edit, to record, to put music to things, pre-recorded music, all that, balance, mix, whatever, all that stuff. I don't even have the right terms. I just do it.
Sounds good to me. That's wonderful, Eduardo. Where is Eduardo headed? We're seeing all this good stuff. I'm loving all the places where you're at. It's just like, I love when you post about it, and I do Google searches on what you're up to, and I like to brag about you and stuff. What are you aiming to?
Who wouldn't want to lead in a TV show? Of course.
Yes.
A lead in a TV show or series regular, which, the voice of Will Trent is more or less it is considered a series regular, but I want to be on camera as well. I want to continue doing theater. I've done some theater. Less than 2 years ago, I had an idea for a pilot, and I wrote it with the help of a friend who's a real writer. So the idea was mine, but this really good friend of mine, Ernesto Sandoval, he's an amazing director and screenwriter. And we developed this TV show that we're shopping around. It would be amazing if somebody picks it up. I'm telling everyone about this because that's how things happen. If you keep it a secret, no one's going to know what you're doing. So we have this pilot for a TV show. It's industry related. I love those TV shows that talk about the industry, from comedies like Entourage all the way to, I don't know if you saw The Offer on Paramount Plus. What a great show. It's based on real life. It's about TV show based on how the producer of The Godfather made that happen, made that project happen. We've seen TV shows and movies about writers or directors or the actor. We've seen the main character be one of those figures, very important figures. I have not seen a show where the main character is a casting director. And that's what our show is about. It's about a failed actress who becomes a casting director.
So interesting.
And she's an anti-hero, more or less. You're going to root for her, but she's going to do some questionable things.
We want to support you like crazy. So I have a great community. People I'm related to have a great community, and you're doing great things. And it's just fun to watch. What's the best way that we can support you?
Like I said, I have a pilot. Somebody else is out there who wants to read it. I'll be happy to share it. We've registered it already in the Writers Guild, so we can actually share it. That would be amazing. And I don't have a part in it because I'm more interested in telling this story about this casting director more than making it a vehicle for myself as an actor. That's not my goal with this pilot. I want to tell this story. I think it's very interesting. Like I said, it's a figure in our industry that nobody talks about. They are the gatekeepers. They can make or break an actor. It's based on all the casting directors that I met along the way, which can be amazing, wonderful people or not. They love actors, otherwise they wouldn't do it. A lot of them come from wanting to become an actor, so they have their little thing going on.
So now, is she a Latina character?
She is Latina. It's a multicultural, ethnic cast, what we have, because it's Los Angeles. Of course, it's got to be like that, We're very excited about this project.
That sounds like a nice look for us lay people from the inside. I was listening to a clip from an interview that George Clooney had a few months ago, and he was talking about how there's so much rejection in Hollywood that you just roll with it. But he said the thing you don't want to have is regret that you didn't try something.
Exactly. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. This pilot, I think it's going to happen, man.
I think so too. It's a great idea. People who have read it love it. We had a table read. I had a bunch of friends, actor friends, come help us out. Do a live table read. Even though it's not a comedy, there are some funny parts, because things, that happen in life can be funny. There's some dark scenes, because this industry is it's ruthless. High and lows,
Right. Well, you're to be commended because even though it's a ruthless industry, you're surrounded by challenging things. You're still a good guy.
I've been lucky to have really good friends that support me, and I try to support them as well.
Yeah, and that's another good lesson that you end us with there, Eduardo. I mean, I believe that so much too. You surround yourself with people who are going to be reciprocal.
Exactly.
We're going to be surrounding you with more support, talking about you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just can't wait. That pilot, all kinds of things are coming through my head. Like I remember when Jerry Seinfeld shopped around comedians in cars getting coffee and nobody wanted it, But then Crackle took a shot at it and it just kind of blew up on that channel. And then Netflix took it from there.
It's interesting how, you see it, it works, it's entertaining, it's engaging, and you can't believe, why wouldn't people, make it happen when he was shopping it around? What happened? It's hard trying to find the people with your vision, with the equal way of thinking. But that's why you keep knocking on doors until one opens and somebody says, hey, I believe in your project. Let's work on it.
Well, you know what? That's going to be the final mic drop. Final good words for us. Thank you so much, Eduardo.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Share it with your friends. Follow Eduardo on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Clickable links in the description. See you next time.